Good evening, guys, for joining us today. Uh, my name is Priyanka, and I am your host for this session. So, today I'm very excited to welcome two presenters. We have Deepa Rajgopal. Deepa is our director from Aussies Group. She is the director for education, both onshore and offshore. And Deepa has been in Aussies close to 9, 10 years now. She has been working in the international education field for the last 9+ years, and her passion is to help students. And she believes that giving information to them, the right powerful information is powerful, and giving the right information can really change their lives for the better. So that's Deepa for us. And along with Deepa, we have our external speaker, Regina Milanes. She is the International Business Development Joe from CQ University. Regina has close to 12+ years of experience in the higher education sector. Prior to this, she was working with Bonds University, and we are very delighted to have her here. So before we start, just to let you know about, our experts are going to be very excited to have questions from you. We will be taking questions in the chat box. So please post your questions and we will answer the queries at the end of the session for the want of time. And we have some very exciting giveaways for our attendees. So we want to take the session deep and interactive, and we encourage a lots of questions and feedback. So we have bumper cash prizes to claim for the ones who leave the most descriptive review under the Facebook post. We'll post the URL shortly. And you need to tag your friends and put @Aussies Education Summit 2022 in the comment box. Also, the most participative audience member from the chat box is eligible for free giveaways such as PT coaching, IELTS coaching, and PR consultations, etc. So please, ask questions, participate, make it more exciting, right? Uh, so that is about the introduction today. I would like invite Deepa to now come and share her, presentation with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka, for the lovely introduction. I'm really excited to present this topic with Regina because this topic is close to my heart. Um, I am inquisitive, I love research, and at the same time, I've tried to be one as well 10 years before. So I know the drill, I know what students go through when it comes to getting the coveted research scholarship or a research position. So I'll be sharing deep insights from what I went through as well, what worked, what didn't work. And at the same time, what I'm hoping to address in this session is more about, are there more easily accessible programs uh, when it comes to research compared to the traditional conventional way of finding a supervisor and submitting a proposal and all that. We would also look at what other accessible alternative admission criteria are available as well. So I hope this session is insightful. um, Let me begin my presentation. All right, so we are going to take an in-depth focused look on research degrees that are available in Australia. So, as Priyanka announced, we would love for the session to be as interactive as possible. So, pour in your comments, tag us on your socials, as well as be engaging in the chat box as well, because we are giving a lot of free giveaways. So, research degrees in Australia. Let's talk about the basics. Mice here. What is research? Right? It is, to simply put, it's like an advanced study program where you investigate a topic very deeply from a 360-degree angle. But if you think about it, without research, there wouldn't be any problem solving in the world, right? Because theories are meant to be tested. Science evolves, and at the same time, what held true 10 years before may not be scientifically still a valid theory at the moment. So research actually is about finding new things, developing new knowledge, and provide solutions to challenges that plague this world through advanced research methodologies, right? And Australia is highly intensive. Um, if I remember right, Wi-Fi was invented through researchers in Australia here. At the same time, penicillin, which is a vaccination through which the mankind survived a lot of diseases, also was invented in Australia. So, problem solving is at the core aspect of research degrees, and Australia welcomes world class researchers who can work under the mentorship of supervisors, including professors and postdoc professors who are willing to mentor as well as break new grounds in science. Right. So basically, what is an ideal research mind, right? uh, you have to be inquisitive, you have to question everything, you have to have eye for detail and meticulousness. You also, it is a risky career to take. You don't, it is not a traditional one where you finish your undergraduate or a postgraduate and you enter a corporate organization. Here you are, you tend to be in a research institute or within a faculty, and it would be a long drawn out career until you may receive your doctorate and a post or a postdoc. And at the same time, students do put in a lot of efforts. They do the grind to actually have a thesis submitted that is infallible through and passes the peer review process. So you have to have the desire to be original, you have to be inquisitive, you have to have the ability to think out of the box. At the same time, literature review is a very important part of research. You must be able to go through tons of scientific papers, interpret, analyze, employ critical thinking to find to come up with findings, as well as you must have language skills. Language skills, not so much of I would say verbal communication skills, but you would need language skills in the form of written communication skills, documentation skills, to write dissertations, thesis, scientific papers, so on and so forth. So I need a research mind. Um, while these are all important, you should be inquisitive and curious as well, right? Now, just to go through popular research topic, of course, there is bachelor's honors degrees where last year can be a research component, but research degrees are normally at a AQF level 9 or a 10. The masters of research, which many universities are offering, PhD, doctorate, and some universities do offer Master of Philosophy as well, which is a different version of Master of Research. So these are the most popular degrees that are available in Australia at a higher ed AQF 9 or 10 level. Let's talk about career outcomes first. So of course, research, you can be a researcher when it comes to IT industry or life sciences or molecular biology or even business, right? And even in the field of business, you need research scientists to uncover uh, new grounds, right? So it is not really restricted to only STEM, right? It can research also exist in business and management world, but the common work opportunities include when you start would be research of associate, a research fellow, a research scientist, and then as you progress more at a senior scientist level. Um, Now, does Australia need research professionals? Let's delve into that. That's a very valid question. First of all, based on observations in this industry, Australia favors highly skilled scientists and researchers, especially in STEM and ICT. You can see an extra M there that stands for medicine, um, other than the STEM courses, as well as ICT as well. So case in point, you can look at global talent visas, as well as several visa perks that research professionals as well as students who are applying for research get. So extra visa perks. So for example, if a student is qualifying towards a certain provisional or a permanent residency pathway, a research graduate who has completed at least a 2 years of research degree in STEM and ICT sector, they do get an extra 10 points. Many times, if a student is getting an unconditional admission for a Master's of Research or a doctorate program with a scholarship that is either funded by the Commonwealth or any government agencies, they don't have to pay for, many times they don't have to pay for their visa service charge, or sometimes they don't have to also have to pay for their dependents visa service charge as well. At the same time, research assistants, they attractive stipends, and the average pay at the moment ranks from 70K 80K. At the same time, when you are a research fellow and you are getting stipends, the very attractive part is that the stipends are also non-taxable many times, depending upon the organization where you're going to do research, but those are also non-taxable majority of the time. So of course, Australia places really high value when it comes to research professionals doing their research, as well as aiming for short-term to long-term settlement options in Australia, because they are the creme of the people, and they go a long way towards contributing their um, highly relevant skills in critical sectors. Right now, there is a bit of a predicament also because we are in a post-pandemic world. Normally, what happens is when it comes to Australian universities, the research fundings come from a very different varieties of sources. It could be donations, and many actually, it could be funding from the government grants on specific targeted research areas. But most importantly, it also comes from international student fees, right? If you look at a pre-pandemic stat, Australia spent about $12.2 billion on research alone in 2018. Um, and this income that was used to fund the research sector amounted to about 6 billion, right? Out of which half of it came from international students. So 51% uh, of the income that was used to fund thriving research activities in Australia that are core to also technological advancement for this country actually also came from international students, right? With the during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 as well as 2021, there was an estimated loss of 30% of international students not able to come to Australia because of border closures. So there is a 30% loss in revenue when it comes to funding. So there is this is equivalent to at least 12.2 billion in spending for the funding. Now it's only around 6 to 7 billion between the years 2020 to 2024. So that means that yes, Australia as an advanced economy will not shy away from investing in research in critical sectors, but at the same time, there has been derailments and there will be slow progress as well. So the next 3 4 years, it could be difficult to get a fully funded scholarship because of the less availability of funding. But at the same time, this is the whole setup is because of the traditional way where students would exercise research courses, applying for supervisors and getting the grant and making sure that they have a research proposal that fits the agenda of the university scope of research. Well, these things could very well be done by students now, but at the same time, the research funding has reduced so much. So what are the alternatives is what we're going to discuss in this session specifically. So before that, I want to talk about, okay, research is so broad, right? As I discussed, you could be a researcher in multifunction. You can be a business in supply chain management, in IT, in life sciences, in microbiology, in laboratory sciences. There's a lot of avenues where research professionals are needed. So we're going to talk about scientists in general, and at the same time, where there is an upward movement when it comes to employment. Now, all of these stats are from National Skills Commission website. These are all post-pandemic statistics that can help students in making the correct decisions for their career. So NERO, also called Nowcast Employment and Region Statistics, is a valid source where you can look at, okay, what is the trend for job going to be? What is the size of employment? What is the next 1 year change, as well as what is the next 5 year change, right? So if you look at it, of course, chemist, food and wine scientists, they are very much in need in the next 1 year, possibly, of course, with the chemists contributing to a lot because of the coronavirus and the pandemic, and a lot of research going into quelling this pandemic. And in the next 5 years, you can see that stabilizing around 10%. Of course, there is huge demand for life scientists and medical laboratory scientists. This is when you specialize in biochemistry, molecular biology, as well as genetic engineering. these sort of or medical diagnosis, these sort of degrees, the employment size is quite sizable, 12,000 people. The biggest difference is that, of course, there would be more fuel needed when it comes to researchers in medical laboratory scientists as well as life scientists, because they make crucial discoveries like vaccines and analyze microorganisms, their behavior, things that make them vulnerable, as well as things that make them, where it's hard to defeat them, right? So if you look at it in the next 1 year, there's going to be 23%, but there's going to be more and more um, people needed, and the it's almost doubling up to 43%. So this is when it comes to life scientists as well as laboratory scientists, molecular scientists. This is, of course, because of the pandemic, and with the more other topical things like environmental scientists, people um, care about climate change, as well as so there is a lot of requirement needed for environmental scientists. There is a good 13%, as well as a good doubling up of that in the expected in the next 5 years, as well as a healthy employment size. But at the same time, there is ironically agricultural and forestry scientists are on the decline. We've had, for example, SCU University has this course, but there's not a lot of takers for master of research in this area. There is a declining employment when you go for agriculture or forestry related research professions, right? So that is just a good overview. But at the same time, if you're a researcher in a business or in an IT field, of course the prospects are very healthy, because when it comes to digital technologies, AI, data analysis, these sort of areas, we know that cybersecurity, especially these sort of areas, are thriving. Um, so let's have a look at a few research intensive universities with an edge where, if, where we discussed, okay, even though funding may not be available, what sort of admission criteria can help us get into these programs, right? So before that, I'll just talk about the conventional approach for a master's of research or a PhD student trying to get a position as a research fellow, as well as getting into this a master's of research course. It is tough to crack the admission. Sometimes you have to find a supervisor, and you'll have to. That includes a lot of networking and approach from the students, and where you will also have to have submit a thesis or a proposal that is either so groundbreaking or so thought provoking that yes, they stand out and they take attention, and they capture the attention of a professor. Or sometimes it's also about strategically it meets a certain research scope under the university. At the same time, there are other tougher requirements like have peer reviewed published scientific papers, and uh, have citations where people have mentioned your work. So these sort of things are expected in a conventional approach in a lot of universities, where you would expect to get a place in the Masters of Research or a PhD program, and rightfully so. Now we're going to talk about CQU and what sort of criteria they are following. Of course, they place a very high emphasis on the proposal as well, but the USP here is that CQU also helps you in finding a supervisor. I'm sure Regina would talk more about that, but I'm going to talk about CQU research in particular. So there are two kinds of programs. There is also a graduate certificate in research for students who don't meet the direct entry requirement for the master's. CQU is highly ranked in terms of research. They have over 500 research staff, as well as 9 research centers across QLD and various campuses of theirs. And talking about the graduate certificate in research, it's a 6-month duration. If the student does not meet the entry requirement for the master's directly because of a work experience requirement inbuilt in the program, or it's because of English, the student can study the graduate certificate in research first. It doesn't necessarily give credit into the master's, but at the same time, if you actually get a good CGPA of at least 6 in the grad cert, then that would help you transition into the Masters of Research program successfully, right? There are a lot of core research areas where CQU is expecting talents to come through: agriculture, health, workforce, data science, education, clean energy, psychology. These are prime areas, yes, but at the same time, there is also students we have our own students at Aussies who've got a research admission in business, sustainability management. So there is a wide variety, wide scope of areas where CQU is looking for students who would want to do research with CQU. Uh, now, simply talking about the application process, yes, either if you have a supervisor, well and good, but if you don't have, you can submit a thesis or a proposal, and CQ team can help find a supervisor if there is a professor or a faculty member available, and at least 1 month processing time is taken in getting the appropriate supervisor. Sometimes also there could be that if there is an inflow of application for a particular faculty, then it could be hard. But at the same time, we've seen plenty of students get their offer letters upon submitting their research proposal, right? And yes, there is scholarship available as well for those for the research degrees, and Regina would go more into that. And there is also monthly intakes as well, right? So now this is CQU, where of course there's an added advantage of there is where you can submit your research proposal, but at the same time, CQU also assist in matching your capabilities with a professor within the CQU system, right? But there are also other options as well. There are universities that would like you to submit an EOI first, and if that's just a one-page proposal, and if that gets accepted, then you can go on to submit a detailed proposal. There are also universities that would be Torrens University Australia, and at the same time, there are also universities where you could do a dual masters in coursework and masters of research. Right now, students would love to do Master of Research after Master of Coursework, also for the perks when it comes to the post-study work rights, the extra time given, the extra points given if they're looking for settlement opportunities as well in the points test, right? So it is a logical extension to their academic pursuit for students who are academically oriented. So a student who's already completed a Master of Coursework can get credit exemption if it's from a cognate background, related background. For example, a Master of Management and a Master of Project Management, something of that sort, where it is a relevant background. The student can get credit exemptions for the Master of Coursework and can just do the Master of Research, which would be 1 year, right? And this option is available in Macquarie University. For more information, you can reach out to us. So we would like to share a case study, like a success story, when it comes to a master's in research application, where it was not an extensive process of finding a supervisor and going through the norms in terms of getting your proposal approved with the supervisor and then finding a spot to do a PhD or a master's of research. This happened rather quick for students because students are looking for their visa could also be expiring. They wouldn't have time to do all of those things as well. So here's one thing where the student's admission was also finalized in 15 days. Um, um, so the student had gotten a second year master's of research entry based on the credit exemption, because the student had work experience in the relevant field in marketing. So the student got entry. Also, the option was that after the second year of master, there was also an optional entry for favoring the student to enter a PhD program as well. And stipend was also offered. So it was win-win because the Master's of Research for 1 year with an option to enter the PhD as well. And at the same time, stipend was also offered for the student. So the educational background of the student was also mentioned here. The student had a BTech in Computer Science Engineering, had a Master of Management, and has had 3 years of work experience. The student submitted all of his resume, his credentials, his work experiences, pay slips, and also a one-page SOP about why he wants to do research, and submitted academic and professional references. So some of the takeaway, and it was all completed in 15 days. Some of the takeaways from this message is that it's not, it was a quicker process. There was no honors qualification or anything required to just enter the Masters of Research. Very quick turnaround time. And at the same time, it was just a one-page statement of purpose. So there are options of these sort as well, which I would want to throw light amongst our audience. Um, um, yes, so I think I would like to call Regina here to showcase about CQ's research programs in particularly, as well as their scholarships, their intakes, and what are the USPs of doing their research programs at CQU. And if you like the session also, I would like to remind you guys again that you can share your session insight with a comment on your on your social media tagging Aussie's group with these hashtags, and you have an opportunity to win a prize as well as we have giving giveaways to people who are be most engaging in the comment section as well. Thank you. I hope you found this session useful.
Thank you, Deepa. The links are in the more information in the chat box. We welcome Regina for the next bit of the session.
Great. Thank you so much, Priyanka and Deepa. Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year, everyone. And for those who celebrate the Chinese New Year, happy Lunar New Year to you, and I wish you a healthy and prosperous year ahead. Now, I appreciate you all for being here to hear about CQ University and to see if we're the right university for you. Now, firstly, there are some really great prizes to win in today's event. So, as you know, we continue to say, please keep engaging under the Aziz group, tag your friends, and get them to join our session. And we wish you all the best of luck with that. So today I'll be going over why students choose CQU, as well as what we offer in the research base. Deepa has provided a lot of the general information on research already, so I won't repeat them again too much. Now, if you are unfamiliar with CQU, we are a world leader in graduate outcomes, ranking in the top 2% for employability worldwide. Now, our students enjoy outstanding starting salary and employment outcomes in Australia as well as abroad. Next slide, please. Now, we have over 20 study locations across Australia with 12 campuses available for our international students to choose from. You can find us in Australia's best cities. We are based in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. And then we also have the regional locations as well, as you can see here on this slide. So no matter what type of lifestyle you prefer, you may see a CQU campus in your preferred location. Our campuses are conveniently located in the city centers, close to trains and bus stations, where everything is only walking distance as well. So something to keep in mind. Thank you. We have 14 study areas at CQU, as you can see on the slide. And we are also a dual sector university. So this means that students are able to pathway into their academic courses as well as research programs with us through either our CQ English division or enrolling into our BET courses, earning certificates and diplomas. Thank you. So just to provide you information in regards to our intakes, we have 3 academic terms per year, starting in March, July, and November. But as Deepa mentioned, in terms of our research, you're able to start at any time of the year. This is discussed with your supervisor as to when you're able to start. But in terms of our academic terms, we do traditionally start every March, July, and November. In terms of our term 1 and term 2, which is the March and July intake, they are our compulsory terms for our international students. And the November intake is usually optional. It's more so for the current students wanting to finish their degree a little bit sooner by taking 3 terms per year. Or otherwise, if you just want to take the standard term duration is only 2 terms per year, which is the March and July, and you take November intake as your holiday and you can have a break there. Thank you. Now, in terms of our research division, we're very proud to have been ranked at, above, and well above the world ranking standards in 22 different categories. Now, this includes the space of electrical and mechanical engineering, psychology, agriculture, nursing, public health, environmental science, artificial intelligence and image processing, as well as information and computer sciences, just to name a few. We have 9 world-class research centers and institutes, and we also offer research offshore for those candidates who are unable to come to Australia. You're able to take our PhD offshore course. Now, we've researched in terms of the competitive research income. I mean, we've had well over $70 million in terms of our research income, actually since 2016. So from 2010, we've definitely had a whole lot more since then. And as mentioned before, we have over 650 annual peer-reviewed research publications on our belt. We have a number of research courses available to suit your background and interests as well. So as Deepa did mention, we offer the graduate certificate in research, which is 6 months in duration. We also have the Masters of Research, which is 2 years. And then we have our PhD programs in industry, as well as the Doctor of Education. And all of these PhD courses are 4 years. And so enough of me talking for now. I just want to showcase one of our PhD students' video testimonial. If you can play that YouTube video, please.
Being a civil engineer, I've always dreamt of making this world a better place to live in. Hi, I'm Raghavendra Vasudeva Upadhyaya, best known as Raj. Before coming into Australia, I worked in a multinational company for 1 year. I chose CQ University because it has an interest towards a futuristic scope. They also have a state-of-the-art laboratory facilities. Also, CQ University has a supercomputer, which is a high-performance computing simulation device, and it can reduce the amount of work which I do for a month into a few hours. CQ University also provides me a great platform to collaborate with experienced industry workers as well as some research-focused academic experts, which is very important to me because that provides me the international exposure, helps me to get the encouragement that I need to complete my PhD in the greatest possible level.
At CQ University, we really focus on translational research that has direct benefits for stakeholders in industry and the community. This makes the research experience very rewarding for both the students and also the stakeholders.
My research focus is to sustainably rehabilitate the damaged concrete structures subjected to higher level of damage because of the natural calamities, reinforce them to gain the original building strength. What I enjoy most about being a PhD student is the transition from a student life into a responsible full-time academic, which makes me work harder and gives me the confidence in exploring my area of expertise. We have a very friendly, passionate and very experienced research team here who have helped me all along my PhD journey and also helped me in indulging in sustainable social innovation. CQ University acknowledges your talent and offers a wide range of scholarships in order to take your expertise to the highest possible standard. I was very happy to receive a scholarship from CQ University, but I also love the fact that CQ University offers individual support for every research candidate in terms of project funding as well as international travel support.
CQ University, we actually provide quite a deal of support to our research students compared to other Australian universities. These funds can be used to support the research activities and also to travel to approved conferences to present the results of their research.
My advice to the future students is try to enjoy the process of being an engineer. Engineering is a vast growing field which is rapidly developing its branches. It is going to be having a wide range of opportunities in the near future. I look forward to you joining our research community here at CQ University.
Great, thank you so much. So just going back to the slides, please. But I really hope that everybody has seen the value in that. So as mentioned, that's Raj, one of our PhD students, and he is based in our Rockhampton campus. And Rockhampton is where our main campus is. So that's where we originally were established, and since then we've expanded across Australia, and as mentioned, we have 12 campuses available for the international students. Right, so just going back to the slide, thank you, keep going. And just to the slide, there you go, for the graduate certificate in research. Now, Deepa had already gone over the duration, as you mentioned, including the pathways of getting into these or entry requirements to get into these courses. As mentioned, in terms of the graduate certificate in research, it's mainly for those who do not have the research experience. So this is a great start for you by applying for this graduate certificate in research, and you could potentially then progress into either master's or even go directly into PhD. So you don't necessarily go from the graduate cert into master's. It could be from graduate cert in research plus PhD, just depending in terms of the qualification, your qualification in that regard. In terms of this year's fees, what you're looking at is approximately 11,260, and that's for 6 months. Thank you. And in terms of the Masters by Research, it is 2 years full-time to undertake, and we do have the entry requirements there. The tuition fee does cost approximately 29,628 per year. We do offer scholarships, which I will further discuss at a later stage. But if you do want to look into more of the detailed information regarding all of our research programs, as well as all the available courses we have, please feel free to go onto our website, which is cqu.edu.au. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of the most popular research topics that we did have from last year, these are in agriculture, health workforce, data science, education, clean energy, and psychology. And with these research topics, it's also ongoing to this year as well. If you do want to have a look at all of the available research projects that we're currently running, please go on to this link so that way you'd be able to have a look. You can also just go to cqu.edu.au/research, and then you will see you're able to navigate onto that web page to have a look to see as to where our current research projects are. Thank you. In terms of the admissions process, Deepa also covered this. So as you mentioned, there are different ways on how to go about applying through to us. One way is to apply through Aussies, of course, and submit your expression of interests in regards to a particular topic that you want to choose. You also need to provide your transcript to date, your completion certificate, and also you are required to meet our English language requirements, which is an IELTS of 6.5 with no band less than 6.0. Now, this will depend as to what type of research area you are interested in. Mainly, if you are wanting to go into, say, medicine or a allied health type of research, the English language requirement may be higher. But in the general sense, in terms of the English requirement, it is a 6.5 overall. So that's in terms of one way, in terms of the research application. Another way, as Deepa did mention, is that you do find your available supervisor. Now, in terms of finding an available supervisor, that could actually expedite your application process because the first way, which is just applying your expression of interest with us, is because we need to find an available supervisor for you, which could take a little bit longer. So please be aware it can take more than 30 days for the assessment to take place or to be finalized. Next slide, please. And further into the admissions process, we will require for you to provide your research proposal. There are 5 items where you do need to cover, which you're able to get in touch with Aussies with, and they'll be able to tell you the necessary steps. Thank you. Now, this is the fun bit. Because I know that you are really interested in regards to the initiatives that we have running. So I'll just quickly go over them now. Thank you. Now, in terms of our scholarships, we are offering 25% scholarship tuition fees for all of our courses that's more than 12 months. So this includes the research program. As long as you meet the course requirements, you will be given the 25% scholarship automatically for the full duration of your course. And it's for any campuses as well. If you are currently in Australia, you're able to pay the $2,000 to get your COE deposit, to get your COE. Otherwise, if you are offshore, you are required to make your first full term deposit to be given your confirmation of enrollment. Thank you. Now, if you haven't met or do not meet our English language requirements, another initiative that we've been running since last year is that we are offering free English language courses to any package offer holders. So, for example, if you only have an IELTS of 6 and you need a 6.5, then you're able to package with our EAP3 followed by the academic course. Your EAP3 is 10 weeks in duration, usually at $435 per week. But if you were to come with us, your English language course will be at no cost to you. So this is an initiative that we have been running since last year. Mainly is because we do understand the impact of the pandemic where our students have struggled financially. So we are really wanting to help out the students when it comes to trying to achieve their academic goals and their career goals as well. Thank you. Now, why CQU and what our advantages are? So I've already covered that we are in the top 2% for graduate employability. I've also mentioned about our campus locations, regardless as to where you want to study, to speak to your supervisor, and if they are fine with you studying elsewhere while there may be in Rockhampton, it's up to between the two of you to organize that, but at least that gives you that flexible option. Our research are world class, as I've mentioned. We've been rated very highly globally in that regard. For our research courses, you could start at any time, and this is arranged between yourself and your supervisor. We do have those pathways, so if you are really interested and motivated to get into research, the graduate certificate in research is the first step for you if you don't have that research experience, and then you can get into the master's or even the PhD. And one of the great things with CQU is that you don't always have to find an available supervisor, because as mentioned, we can help you out in finding a supervisor for you, but just keep in mind that the admissions process could take a little bit longer in comparison. And as I mentioned, we also offer the free English studies. Thank you. Now, speaking of the graduate employability, now these are just the stats. So we did have a look at where our alumni are and how much they earn. And as you can see here, our alumni earn more than the national average in both the undergraduate space as well as the postgraduate space as well, according to the Good Universities Guide. Thank you. Now, if you do need more information, we do have the links here. I think Deepa and Priyanka, you may be able to send out these the slides or perhaps the links to the prospective students.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, great. And finally, the last slide. If you do wish to have a look to see as to what we have available, what current events we have running at the moment, just connect with us in all of our social media channels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Regina. That was quite insightful, very informative for anybody who wants to maybe explore the courses. We can move on to the questions now. So we have two questions. So the first one is information on research of racing strategies under racing and mechanical engineering.
Is that a core area CQ is looking for?
Well, I mean, in terms of the mechanical engineering space, that is definitely something that we are highly rated at. So in terms of this specific topic itself, as I mentioned, the student or the applicant is more than welcome to see if there is an available supervisor for them by going in onto our research webpage and finding that supervisor, or otherwise they can send that application through to you and we will determine as to whether or not there is an available supervisor for them.
Great, Usha. I guess if you're following the supervisor route, that's fine. Or if you would like help from Aussie's group, please reach out and we'll be able to submit your application. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Regina. And the other question is from Sherry, which is research on the wider effect of fast-paced journalism on society.
Yes, and that's the same. I'm going to be saying the same answer as the first question as well. So best to go onto our research webpage. Journalism is also one of our forte in that regard. So just have a look at our research webpage, and then you may be able to see some current projects there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Regina, I have a question. So there could be students onshore who are looking to enter the Masters of Research program. So are there does every degree need a research experience? Every master's degree or a PhD, or what other alternatives are available for students who don't have a research experience other than the graduate certificate part?
Yeah. So in terms of that, if they have already completed a bachelor degree but do not have any research experience, it really is the graduate certificate in research is the course to be able to pathway into either a master's or the PhD.
If they've already completed a master's in Australia, will that exempt them, or they would still have to have research experience?
So if they've already completed a master's coursework, but if they don't have a thesis proposal or they're not strong at it as yet, then it is the graduate certificate in research. So
but
in
if
terms
of a strong research proposal,
but if they
a great idea, but no research experience, they can give it a shot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, both the speakers. So thank you everyone who attended the session today. Don't forget to leave your review. So there is a link right there in the chat box. You can go to the link and put in your review.
Oh, there's a question.
There's a question. Yes, I just saw the question. Let me read it out. What are the requirements for doing? This is from Rahul. Rahul Kumar Chaurasia. So what are the requirements for doing research master? Sure. I have completed the Bachelor in Commerce and now I want to join as in research. How can I join?
Sure. So in terms of the Masters of Research, as long as you have already completed your bachelor degree, and then if you also have a thesis proposal ready, then you're more than welcome to submit that. If you've done an honors degree as well, that is also something that we would consider to get into the Masters by Research as well. So you only need to make sure that you have a thesis proposal. So if you are wanting to directly apply for the Masters by Research, you need to have already done to have a thesis proposal. You need to have an IELTS of 6.5 with no band score less than 6. And yes, as I mentioned, have that bachelor qualification as well.
Rahul confirms that he's done an honors in accounting.
Okay, yep, fantastic. So in saying that, hey, you're already one step ahead. So all you need to do is to provide your thesis proposal as well as all other supporting documents.
Right. And Rahul, Aussies will be happy to help you with that. We look forward to being in touch with you.
Thank you, Regina and Deepa. Any other questions? We still have time, so we can probably take a few more. Please feel free to post it in the comment chat box. And I've already posted the review link, so please don't forget to put in your feedback there. Review link is already shared in the chat box, and we very much appreciate your review, right? And I've also posted the link for the next session, so you can directly click on the URL and attend the session if that's of interest. Right? Do we have any further questions? So great, then I will call it a wrap. Please don't forget to put in your review in the link, right? And thanks a lot again for attending today. And thank you, Regina. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Deepa.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.